Well, this is our Wednesday night channeling number 188, I think. Have you been exposed to something like this?
Only reading.
Well, now you're going to get your feet wet, see?
Right.
Let's start off with a quiet time. Close our eyes, relax our bodies, think of peace. Bring your full attention to this moment, and to this room, to this place in consciousness, and be here now. Feel the presence of divine love and light that fills this room as these higher beings gather to be with us, and all the others from the other dimensions who have come to set in on our session just as we have, and to listen to the teachers talk. Let us realize that each one here is as much a part of the channel as the one who speaks, because each one of us are lending our vibrations to this circle of light. Let us think of this light getting brighter and brighter and moving upward. As we lift our consciousness upward, the teachers are reaching down to meet us. And to make the contact. Thank you, Father. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don, coming to you from these realms of love and light. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you and to share this moment of communication from these dimensions to your dimension. Eloah is again our teacher this evening, and so I will turn the class over to him. God bless each and every one of you, my dear ones. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you. Our topic tonight is apropos to what's happening on your planet. Our title is going to be called Peace on Earth. It is the thing that you and many others that are connected with this planet have been working towards for many, many, many years, is to bring peace on earth, lasting peace. Many times through the many, many years that you would lose count of, since this planet has been inhabited by you and many others, you have come close to bringing lasting peace on your planet. But each time something has happened that you have lost that contact with the inner self and allowed the little self to come forward and take over. There has been much work done in the past 100 years of your counting, and even before that, but especially in the past 100 years, to set the stage on your planet for this one day and the days to come. Do not expect too much from what is taking place, because it has been a long time in the individuals sparring off against each other. If they only knew that some of the things that you know, that they are not at war with each other's country, they are at war within themselves. If they knew this one thing, my dear ones, then could we have peace on earth, if they were willing to bring about the peace within themselves. When you realize that each individual on this planet is not totally at peace, maybe there is 5 or 6 masters that dwell on your planet to help keep the balance. But besides those, each one on your planet is out of balance to a certain degree, or you would not be here. You are at war within yourself, and many of you have made great progress towards bringing about this balance within yourself. But there is a ways to go, as you know. And as you move toward that higher consciousness by understanding more about yourself and more about the laws of life, your light within you becomes brighter, and others around you do see this, maybe on an unconscious level, if not consciously, and they are attracted to you. I tell you, my dear ones, when you allow this peace to come on your planet, and it will be done in this next 2,000 years in your counting, in this golden age, the Aquarian age that you are now in, because the planet is being raised up in consciousness. And someone has said that your planet is being Christed, and this is a good definition for it, for it is raising its consciousness, realizing that your planet is an entity, just as you are an entity. It is a being that has chosen to take this opportunity to give this globe life force from its own essence. It is an expression of God, just as you are, but it has grown above, far above your consciousness where you are, and it has mothered you for a long, long time, and allowed you to pollute it and do many things. And many, many times that you do not consciously know of, you have raised close to bringing that lasting peace, and then something has happened. You have developed a great deal of power and destroyed the civilization, wiped it out completely with all the records, just as you did in Atlantis and Lemuria. Some of the records are left from these two histories, and there may come a day when you find records from these other civilizations. But those records, it matters not whether you find physical records, because those records are all within you, in your subconscious memory banks, because you are one with all life, and all life is one with you. And that means that you are one with this planet and all other planets that are living entities, that are God beings, just as you are God beings. Some of you, some of your astrologers have thought of some of your planets as being dead. I tell you, they are not dead. They may be what you think of as asleep, and when the right time comes, they will come to life in your way of thinking, and maybe bring forth the right atmosphere to populate people such as your planet has done. In your interest of your planet is relatively new to the planets in your system and in your galaxy, but it is one of the planets that has not reached the peace, this lasting peace that can bring about heaven on earth that you seek for on your planet. But in true reality, my dear ones, it is seeking for it within yourself. For this is where you experience it. You experience heaven on earth within your own consciousness. There is no other place for you to experience it. And when you do, then you see this planet and all of life in a much different way. You see clearly that this planet is just a play on a stage, that it is a schoolroom that is set up with the right kind of props for you to grow and to have the opportunities to move higher in consciousness. This is the only reason that you are here. As you know, this is not your real home. Your real home is in the higher dimensions where some of us dwell. Home is where the heart is. And my dear ones, your real heart, the understanding of your God self, is one with God and knows it. You are one with God at the level that you're on, but do not completely know it. You may know it intellectually and are beginning to understand it more in a spiritual knowing, a little bit. But until, my dear ones, you can live the life, you do not know it. You may know about it, but as long as you have these ups and downs, these negative, fear-filled thoughts that bring about destruction in your life and imbalance, then you do not completely know it. But there is a day coming, and this is dealing in your language with time and space, which for the new ones we talk against duality, because there is no duality. There is no time or space. There is only the moment, the eternal now. But in your consciousness, there will come a point in your consciousness where you have the realization of your Godhood. This will not come all at once, although it may appear to for you at some point, but you will grow into it. This is the natural order of those who do this. You hear of a few who have translated from this planet and gone to the other dimensions without going through the experience of death. But you do not know the other lifetimes that are behind their experiences. You know not what they come in with, just as most of you do not know what you come in with, but some of you are learning by taking a look and learning how to use the tools that you've been given to take a look at yourself, to see the reality instead of making excuses and blaming others and the world conditions and so forth. There is a saying, my dear ones, let there be peace and let it begin with me. And this is a good saying, because this is all that you can truly do. You can work for many ways to clean up your environment and do physical things, but to bring about a true lasting peace, it has to first come from within you, and you have to have the consciousness of it. Then can you emanate these vibrations of peace, and others around you may feel it, and they may emulate you to a certain degree and find a beginning place to bring about peace within themselves. There have been many books written about this subject and about love being the key to all things, but they are just words, and they mean nothing until you can assimilate them into the inner part of your consciousness, not the outer physical intellect, but the inner spiritual being of yourself. When you can bring this understanding within and let it be reflected back to the without, then can you consciously understand. This comes slowly to most, and it is a time on your planet now that it will come to all who stay with this planet in this golden age called the Aquarian Age. Peace on earth is, the stage is being set for peace on earth, and this day is a beginning place. The countries that have met this day, you would be surprised at how much work has been done from this dimension, from these many dimensions. You see, this is where things are accomplished from. As your teacher tells you, everything comes from above down or from within out. It has to first be accomplished on these higher dimensions. Then it can be reflected to your physical. And this peace on earth has been, many things have been done behind the scenes, so to speak, that you know not of. But the love spending that you have spent has a lot to do with bringing about this day that could make a beginning. Even if this time fails, my dear ones, it will set the stage and plant some seeds for peace to come on earth. For the leaders of these countries are beginning to realize and to understand that we have to learn to get along together in order to survive our civilization, in order to be able to feed the people, to clothe them, and to give them opportunities on this physical level that in truth is opportunities for spiritual growth. Even though they may not think of it in this way, most of them think of it just in a physical, from the outer physical sense. In true reality, all things are for your soul's growth, no matter what they appear to be on your outer physical play, called life on the physical plane. Peace is something that is cherished on these inner realms, and without the understanding of peace, you would not be able to enter these realms of love and light when you graduate from this dimension. Without the understanding, a little bit of understanding of peace, you see, you would be on the realms of dimness and darkness. In other words, the realms that do not understand the laws of life, that do not have the comprehension of what life is all about. The great majority on your physical plane think only in physical terms, and it is less than 2% of life. Keep remembering this, my dear ones, as you go through your day, and ask yourself how much attention, how much thought, how much energy and life force have you given to your soul's growth? In other words, how much have you tithed? Tithing has to do with your soul's growth. And as you give time to go within and make that contact with the inner dimensions of yourself, the God within you, then you are tithing. Many on your plane do not tithe at all and have no concept of spirituality. They have no concept of love, the real love, divine love. They have only the outer physical thoughts. You who come to circles such as this, and there are many, many small groups around your planet who do gather together and learn from contact with these dimensions. They learn because they have ears to hear and eyes to see. In other words, the inner ear is attuned to these higher dimensions. The inner eye of understanding is open a little bit, and they can see, such as you. Most of you have come back to this circle many times, and you would not come back unless you have been being fed spiritual food for your soul. This is a hunger that mankind has and does not know it, and tries to feed his soul by overfeeding his body, or taking drugs, or alcohol, or many, many other ways. But I tell you, there will come a day when each will have the understanding that they are a spiritual being. Be not concerned about those who do not understand at this moment, but realize that everyone has their own timing. Everyone has the freedom to choose that time that God has given them, the free will, to do with their life force that He is giving them constantly as they will. You are learning to use at least part of your life force in a positive and constructive way. Most do not use it very little. But as you grow, as you understand, as you realize that this planet is a violent planet, has been, and violence controls most of the places on this planet. But I tell you, my dear ones, the stage is being set for peace. And as you learn to send more of God's love, especially into these meetings of the world leaders, give extra time to sending God's love to this, and allow God's love to do its work. Send it unlabeled, and send it multiplied many times by God's heavenly host. You, my dear ones, have great opportunity to be a servant of life, to be a channel for God to work through. God's love is a key to all things in life, for it is God's love that everything is made of. Everything that is the substance of God's love. Even those things that appear to be negative and destructive, they are a reflection of the free will that God has given mankind to use this life force to learn and to grow by. Just as the baby learns to walk, it falls down many times, and God does not count the times that you fall down, He gives you the freedom to fall as many times as you need to learn to walk in the spiritual path of light, the light of understanding the real truth of life, instead of the illusions that is reflected on your physical plane. Much could be said about this subject of peace on earth, and it is becoming your Christian season of Christmas, where you talk about peace on earth. And I want to remind you, before this season comes, that it is a great opportunity in your country to send God's love, because people are more open to receive God's love. Many are open more at this time of year than at any other time. There are others who are despondent and become very depressed because they see the majority of individuals changing, in a sense, to cheer and goodwill toward man, and they do not have that ability to do that. And many times people take their life at this time. It is good for you to send love to everyone on this planet and to all other planets like it in the whole of life. Be of good cheer and be open to allow yourself to be a channel for God's love. It is especially needed at this time. Things will change. There is no getting around this. There is no stopping the growth of life, what you would think of as evolution, of life expanding and bursting into more of itself. That there can also be much destruction, as you think of it, while this is happening, through the ignorance of mankind not knowing what is happening. As you send God's love, this lessens the intensity of these destructive things that you are seeing happening all over your planet at this time. And they are coming faster now. They're coming more quickly because everything is being speeded up. The vibrations are being raised on your planet every day. Keep reminding yourself of this. I know that I've said it to you many times, but you need to be reminded to be an open channel for God to work through, and to be that clear, clean, open channel. First cleansing yourself of all past negation, and then asking God to send His divine love through you in great abundance, unlabeled, multiplied many times by His heavenly host. There are many things that you can send love to, and you could send love all day long to things and not cover something twice. As we talk about this subject of peace, let us keep remembering that your job, shall we say, is for you to find peace within yourself. You cannot find it in another individual. You cannot find it in your work or anything outside yourself. For true peace comes from within you, in that spiritual part of yourself, that God being that you are. Let us stop at this time and give you opportunity to communicate, as Donald has allowed himself to be a channel, giving you the opportunity to ask questions or to make comments and bring forth the understanding or lack of it that you have and would like to speak of. Feel free, my dear ones, to ask questions. Feel free to be an open channel. And if something comes to your mind, allow it to come forth so that others might benefit by it also. Are there questions tonight?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is it that we can do, because sometimes we have difficulty making the transition from knowing something intellectually as into knowing it in our heart, so to speak? What are some of the things that we can do to make that transition?
Yes. This is a good question. And it is a time when you first know it intellectually, and you have that outer understanding, and you can learn to bring it about into your inner self. Let us think, now, how can we do this? We know this in words, we know it intellectually from a physical point of view. First, ask yourself, do these words that you have verbalized it in your mind, or the impressions that you have, are they what they appear to be? Or is it something else that is behind what you seek? You, my dear one, have learned to go to your higher self, and it is a good question for those who have not learned to do this. But there is a part of you that is one with God at all times and knows all things, knows all wisdom and understanding of the total of life. It is for you to turn loose of the outer intellectualizing and bring this within yourself, this question or this understanding that you would have, using your inner image. Your imagination, as Donald has said, is the magic genie within you, for it is the creative force. Your imagination is the force that you use to mold and shape anything that you have brought forth into your physical plane. So turn it around and turn it inward and use it to image in that which you would know. As you ask, seek, and knock, then shall you know. It does not come. There is no technique, a standard technique for this, but it is a searching, and it is a searching in the correct place. We are so used to solving our problems from outer understanding, outer situations, that it takes a little while for us to learn to use that inner part of what you would think of in the physical as analyzing and solving a problem on the physical. Your scientists analyze this and they analyze that, and they come up with a solution. So that is for the physical. Analyzing does not work on the inner. That works against your learning to bring the verbalization understanding into a spiritual knowing. Let us say that you understand a situation. Do you have an example that you would give us?
Oh, I was just asking the question for a friend who knows things intellectually but sometimes cannot make that transition. And I thought perhaps you could help me.
Of making it work in their outer life?
Yes.
Or, yes. Yes, this is the thing that all on your plane are involved with. When you begin to search, then you read books and you have word understanding, which is intellectual understanding, and you think to yourself, now, what does this truly mean in a metaphysical way or in a spiritual, true spiritual understanding? And it comes down to this, because there are no words to explain this to you in the way that you could understand it with the physical conscious mind, but it comes down to learning to live the life. And your affirmations that you use, your suggestions and your hypnosis, and all of these things help to get it in. It is like having a bottle with a small opening and cramming things into it. With your affirmations, you're cramming things into a small opening. And with your suggestions and with your meditation, you go within and seek the inner light. And then one day it dawns on you and you say, oh, yes, this is what this means. It does not come right away for most. You have to, what you think of as work for it, but do work in a relaxed and peaceful way, effortless effort. But it does come. And give your friend some of these examples to continue to seek that inner understanding free of your language. This is the best, closest way that you can get the inner knowing, the understanding free of verbalization or your language. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it does. And you answered something I had been wondering about myself personally, and that was the fact that everything that I read, that I hear, that has to do with the spiritual journey, seems to be putting the finer points in line for me. It just seems to all be fitting, and every little detail is I'm becoming more aware of its meaning.
Yes. And what you read 6 months or a year ago, you read again today, and you see a different meaning, do you not?
Yes.
A larger understanding. And this is the way that it works. You do not strain to make it happen, but relax and let it happen. When you strain at trying to gain this understanding, the inner understanding, you're using the physical, and that closes off the channels. But when you learn to relax your body and bring peace into your mind and ask God for His light of understanding, and His divine love, and then be quiet and let it come. And you may have to do this 100 times or 1,000 times, but I promise you, if you continue to persist, it will come.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for asking this question. Are there other questions this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
I know of a psychic.
Speak a little louder, please.
I know of a psychic in town who is doing quite well, and she owns a store in town, and she's getting larger and larger, and she's helping more and more people. But she's also seems to be getting somewhat caught up in the physical because she's concerned about all of her neighbors, who she said are all praying that she will find her demise in all this because they don't want her there. They think that she's evil, and I wonder why that is. That so many times when you get involved in the psychic and you start branching out and helping people, then is that just a natural transition, or do you attract that to yourself?
It's a lack of understanding on the part of the world, the masses of the population of this planet, and their programming and conditioning. And anything that they do not understand, they think of it as evil. A good example, when your television first came out, someone said if you were to take a television over in Africa, in the deepest parts of Africa, to the pygmies or natives that had never seen a television, they would bow down and worship it as a god, because they do not understand. It is a phenomena until you understand. When you understand, then you have no fear. But until the true understanding comes, most on your planet just automatically fear what they do not understand. And it is their conditioning from their churches and from different places that they have been taught to not dabble in this or dabble in that it may be the work of the devil, and not realizing that they are their own devil and they are their own God. They have these superstitious beliefs, and so they automatically resist it and try to eliminate it from their environment. It is the same with Donald. Had to go through almost 3 years in this place before the neighbors discontinued trying to eliminate him from this place. And it was not so much as the reason that you spoke of, but it was a fear nonetheless. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. What individuals do not understand, they almost always fear. When they do understand, then the fear is eliminated. There are some of religions on your planet in this day who will not drive automobiles or have modern refrigerators or anything like that. They want to hold on to the old, the horse and buggy, and do things in the old way that has been done for hundreds of years before, because they are afraid that it will pollute them in their spiritual thinking. And because they believe this, then it is probably so for them, and they hold to their old ways. And it is the same with those who do not understand your new thought movement, as one term you have given it, the new age that is coming into view that has so much power. Many ages have come and gone, but they do not have the great surge of power that this age that you're now beginning in has, and so they fear it, not knowing what to do with it, or how to handle it, or what it might bring. Are there other questions this evening?
Yes. What is this concept that we call evil?
Evil is there's two terminologies that we could use. Ignorance is one, lack of understanding is another. In true reality, there is no duality. Good and evil is a duality. And when you realize that this is when we left the Father's house many eons of time in your thinking ago, we took on the concept of duality, and it explains this in your book, the Bible, and Genesis. And it is word for word very understandable when you look at it and take it literally. They ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In other words, before that they had no concept of duality. Time and space is another duality, which is a falsehood. It is part of the illusions of this plane. So there is no evil. Life is, period. God is, period. You and all the dwellers on this planet and everything on this planet is alive because it is fed from the one life force, the source of all that is. And so God has given man free will to use this life force so that he can experiment with it, and through this experimentation he uses it against the grain of life, and this causes a ripple, and so this has to be straightened out in his understanding. When you misunderstand a so-called problem, such as thinking that 2 and 2 is 5, then you come up with the wrong answer. And until you realize that 2 and 2 is 4, you will continue to come up with the wrong answers. And when you believe in duality, for example, your world is in chaos, such as your world has been for a long time. Not all of it, but a big part of your world has been in chaos without the real meaning of peace, because they believe in evil. They believe in good. And you see, there is neither good or evil, because if you had good, then you'd have to have evil. So there is neither good or evil. Life is, period. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, thank you.
It is difficult when you first learn this truth, when you first begin to understand that duality is the thing that keeps you earthbound, that keeps you tied to these lower dimensions, and keeps you from bringing heaven on earth. It is difficult to bring this concept into your inner understanding, as we were speaking of a moment ago. you can intellectualize it now, maybe, but until you meditate on it and think about it and bring it within and have that inner enlightenment, the realization. Realization means to make it real to you. Then it is just words. But this is all that I have to deal with you tonight. That is not true. Someone is correcting me to say that from these dimensions we have God's love and light to help you to understand, to help you to realize many things. And when your teachers and your guides come to you to these classes, they do send you God's love and light that helps you to take the words that are spoken and make them a little bit, anyway, of your inner knowing. When you do not understand, then you fear, and when you fear, you do not have peace. And this is a great misunderstanding on your planet. When you take words and add a lot of heavy-duty things to them, then you eat, for example, evil or sin. Most people do not realize where the word sin originated. In the olden days, the men who practiced with their bow and arrow would put a bullseye on a tree, and they would get a distance off and shoot their arrows. They could not see how close they came, so they had a man standing over to the side, and he had hollered "chin," and this meant you missed the mark. So this is where the word sin originated from, and the connotations that have been placed upon missing the mark, using this word sin, has made it a very heavy thing in a lot of people's minds. Are there other questions this evening?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
It seems the more enlightened I get, the sadder I get.
The fatter you get?
Sadder.
Sadness.
In the last year, I've made a lot of changes in my life, and I'm happy that I don't have any jealousy, any anger, any judgments, anything like that anymore. And I would want a lot more joy and happiness, and I work on myself or go inward almost all the time. I spend a lot of time in isolation, maybe too much. So I'm wondering if...
I think that you have hit upon the answer for yourself. You see, you need a balance in your life, and you did not come into this incarnation to go into a cave and meditate for 22 hours a day. You came to have experiences, physical, worldly experiences, and through these experiences grow and have greater understanding. And when you try too hard, maybe, and this has been a pattern of yours, has it not, of trying too hard, or working too hard, doing many things at one time in your earlier life. Is this not true?
Yes.
Yes. And so now that you have this extra time, you want to grow spiritually, and you're doing the same thing by overdoing it, perhaps. at least I would like for you to think of this and see if it is not true. And through this overdoing it, you do not have the balance that you need. And so that little self, your subconscious is part of your little self, is sad and maybe a little angry because you are not feeding it anything. You are trying to feed your higher self everything. And so through this overdoing, you are out of balance. When you gain understanding, as you said you have, then joy should be there, gratitude, and a beautiful feeling of peace. But it may be a resistance of that little part of you, that subconscious, that feels sad because it is missing out. And you may try talking to it even in the conscious state and feeding it a little as you go along, not overdoing it as you have done in your youth, but keeping the balance. Does this make sense to you?
Yes. One of the things that I see so much violence and pain that I overlooked before of others when I'm out in the world. Now, when I experience that, I experience this great compassion that it just hurts to see somebody else violating nature or other people or things.
Yes, but you see, my dear ones, this is none of your business. This is a harsh way to say it, but it is, your life is between you and God and no one else. And this is a difficult concept for most to assimilate into their thinking, because we have been conditioned to go out and save the world. And most of your religions believe that they should go out and proselyte, and you cannot change anyone else. You cannot change the conditions in the world except through your example and what you do with your life and being a channel for God's love to flow through. You see, when you are sad because the world is in the condition that it's in, you're adding to the negative vibrations. And this is going in the wrong direction. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Think of it as there is no good or evil. There is experience, and that's why we're on this dimension, is to have experience. And be grateful that the entities on this planet at this time are having many experiences, and they appear to be bad. But remember, the Master Teacher said, judge not by appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous means the right useness of the law. And when you understand the laws of life, that you cannot change others, but you can change your concepts. You can change your attitude toward the world. You can love the world, and you can love those who seem to be violating the laws of nature. And whatever the Master did, he said, love your enemies. Think on these things and allow yourself to be happy and joyful, for this will add to the vibrations of peace and the positive, constructive, and love that God is.